Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law. Folks, today we're going to be doing something very special. I am actually going to be taking a little bit of a back seat as we're going to watch the top 10 most jaw-dropping moments of the last 4 weeks of the Karen Read jury trial. That's right, April 1st through May 2nd. Today is Sunday, May 4th, and tomorrow is my birthday. So we are going to dive right in. You're not going to be hearing much from present Larry. As a matter of fact, we're going to let past Larry take the wheel. These top 10 moments are moments that made even me go, what just happened? And I'm a seasoned attorney. I have nearly 50 jury trials under my own belt that I have done for clients. Some I have won, some I have lost. If you are new to my channel and you want to discover what it's like to watch my videos, get ready for a jaw-dropping, heart-pumping, adrenaline-inducing moments. The top 10 moments of the Karen Read trial, number 2, the retrial, in April and early May 2025. We are going to break it down clip by clip with my original commentary and reactions in the moments that it happened. No rewrites, no filters, just raw reactions. Enjoy.
The evidence in this case will establish above everything else 3 points. There was no collision with John O'Keefe.
Yes! Oh my God, yes! Oh my God, 1,000 times yes. There was no collision! Melanie Little, you and I, we did this! We did that! We helped them! They're using it! They're using it! Oh my God! I am to the moon and back. All right, let's keep watching.
There was no collision. There was no collision.
Those are the 3 things.
John O'Keefe did not die from being hit by a vehicle. Period. The facts will show that.
Thank you, Melanie.
The evidence will show that. The data will show that. The science will show that. And the experts will tell you that. You'll learn that the Commonwealth has pinned its entire case on a brazen and a flawed assertion that is untethered, unconnected to the facts and to the evidence.
Oh, those words.
And their assertion is contrary to science. Because at the end of the day, folks, there was no collision with John O'Keefe.
You have to keep repeating it just so they learn. This is going to be a long trial. The theme is there was no collision. John was not hit by a car. Remember the interview that Melanie Little and I did? John was not hit by a car. There was no collision. Same thing. And he has to keep repeating it. That's his theme. There was no collision. Rather than putting the burden on himself, because when you say Karen Read was framed for the murder of John O'Keefe, it's hard. Now you put the burden on yourself. Now you have to prove through the trial. The jury's going to be expecting you to prove that he was framed. But by saying there was no collision, you take the burden off of you. You don't have to prove who framed her, who is the actual murderer. The jury's not going to wait for you to disclose who the actual killers are. You know, Higgins, Brian Albert, Colin Albert, etc. Now the onus is back on the prosecution. You no longer have to worry about having to prove your case, because you don't have to prove your case as a defense. But juries are people. They understand simple things. They understand, like, well, you're going to tell me she's been framed. Who's she being framed by? But if John O'Keefe was not hit by a car, there was no collision. You see? That's what I'm talking about. I am on cloud 9 right now.
So how did we end up here? How does Karen Read end up sitting in that chair on trial for an event that literally never happened? Well, the evidence is going to explain it. And it can be summed up in the following text message at the very beginning of this investigation. A text message of a now fired Massachusetts State Police officer named Michael Proctor.
Yes.
He was the lead investigator on this case.
Oh, this is huge, because now they get to say, now fired. And they already know what he's going to say because he said it in the first trial.
He's talking about a fellow officer, a fellow cop, who owned the property where John O'Keefe's body was found. Text message with a buddy. Question, is the homeowner going to catch any shit? Answer, nope, he's a Boston cop too.
Let that marinate.
That quote defines the lack of integrity of the Commonwealth's entire case, its entire investigation, and this prosecution. What you'll see and hear in this courtroom in the coming weeks is not just a story of a tragic loss. And make no mistake, John O'Keefe's death is and was a tragic and tragic loss. But the story you'll hear is about an investigation that was riddled with errors from the beginning, a rush to judgment, conflicted and corrupted from the start. Corrupted by bias, corrupted by incompetence, and corrupted by deceit. Finally, it was corrupted by a deliberate effort to avoid and to cover up the very truth that you are seeking. You'll find when you hear the evidence that the Commonwealth's case is the literal definition of reasonable doubt. They won't be able to talk their way out of it. They won't be able to explain their way out of it. They won't be able to excuse their way out of it. And they can't meet their extreme burden of proof, which the court will tell you is beyond any and all reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. Members of the jury, Karen Reed found John O'Keefe dead on the front lawn of a Boston police officer, Brian Albert, at 6 a.m. on January 29th, 2022. Picture the scene. Blood-curdling screams, ambulances, emergency lights on, fire engines, ladder trucks, paramedics, patrol vehicles, patrol cruisers, police officers, first responders, firefighters, all swarming all over Brian Albert's lawn. Literally feet under his bedroom window.
I love how they're painting a picture. Feet under his bedroom window. Look at how many people, and he's about to say, we already know it's coming. Not one of them went inside the house to talk to Brian. Not one of them thought for a second, hey, we should go in. No, we shouldn't go in. There's no reason to. He's a Boston cop. We protect our own. Oh, the one lying on the ground? Hey, he's dead. We don't need to protect him.
Brian Albert, a sworn peace officer, a first responder himself, never came outside. Never went outside to see what the chaos was about. Never went outside to see if he could assist a man in need. Never walked outside his house to see if he could help a fallen fellow officer on his own front lawn.
Yep, that's huge. Oh, my God.
More shockingly, you'll learn that lead investigator for the Massachusetts police, Michael Proctor, never set foot inside Brian Albert's house.
There it is.
That day. Never engaged in any investigation inside that house that day. Even though a party with much alcohol had just occurred in that house, and even though a Boston police officer was found dead or dying just mere feet from the front door on that lawn.
Feet from the front door.
He never secured the crime scene, never separated and secured witnesses. He never properly collected evidence. He never secured the evidence. He never searched for signs of a struggle inside or outside the home. He never properly canvassed the neighborhood. Michael Proctor never did any of these things.
Yep.
Even though fellow officers of Michael Proctor's actually mentioned, in their words, not mine, that it looked like John O'Keefe may have been, quote, in a fight.
How do you talk about framing without using the word frame? John O'Keefe was not struck by a vehicle. Facts show he has been beaten. He was in a fight. Now the jury is going to think the word framing. Jackson never said it. That's lawyer work right there, folks. To make the person think the word you want them to think without saying it. That gives it so much more power, so much more panache.
During the course of this trial, you'll find that the Commonwealth will not have answers. You'll see from the evidence in this case that this case carries a malignancy, one that is spread through the investigation, it's spread through the prosecution from the very start, from the jump. A cancer that cannot be cut out, a cancer that cannot be cured. And that cancer has a name.
I love it.
And his name is Michael Proctor. Now, you didn't hear his name in the prosecution's opening statement.
Of course not.
Not once.
Of course.
And I suspect that was probably by design. But make no mistake about it. The evidence will show in this case that Michael Proctor is the very definition of the Commonwealth's case.
Yes, he is synonymizing Michael Proctor with the prosecution's case. Now, every time they think Michael Proctor, they think, oh, this is their whole case.
He was the lead investigator on the case, the case officer, the architect of the entire prosecution. You'll learn there's not a single part of this case, folks, that he didn't touch, that he didn't direct, that he didn't orchestrate personally. Every single bit of it has his fingerprints on it. You'll learn that Michael Proctor was a longtime family friend of the Alberts. And he's been disgraced by his own agency. Not by us, by the Massachusetts State Police. Investigated, suspended,
and fired.
The evidence will show that Massachusetts State Police found him guilty, found Michael Proctor guilty of bringing dishonor to the department for his conduct, not in some other case, not in some tangential case, in this case. The investigation of Karen Reed, conduct that included bias in favor of his friends, the all-powerful Albert family, and bias against my client, Miss Reed,
the outsider.
Do you have any idea how hard it is for a state trooper to get fired?
Yeah.
The evidence is going to show that Michael Proctor earned it, every bit of it.
And then some.
You'll hear that within hours of a Boston police officer being found dead on Brian Albert's lawn, Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, who had investigated exactly nothing up to this point, right at the beginning, made an early pronouncement that Brian Albert himself was not going to, quote, catch any shit, end quote. And that was for one reason, and one reason only.
To protect him.
He's a Boston cop.
Yep.
And when he thought no one was looking, he actually said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
He's a cop, too. We'll give him a pass.
Oh my God. I love how his opening started out with he wasn't hit by a car. Cop was being protected by another cop, even though there's a dead cop on the lawn. And he's focusing all of his energy on that rather than trying to paint framing and all that like he did in the first trial. Now that we know what we know, this is critical. Absolutely critical.
With the court's permission, I would ask that the January 29th text be published. Ms. McCabe, does this appear to be a representative copy of what you're looking at? It's just been marked for evidence?
Yes, it does.
Can you read for the jurors what you texted to your sister at 7:54?
Sure. Kerry talked to the cops and kept it simple.
Who's Kerry?
Kerry Roberts.
And this is a text that you sent about Miss Roberts' interview with the police.
Yes, it is.
Read that for me one more time.
Sure. Okay. Try and get some sleep. Talk tomorrow. Any update?
What did you mean by any update?
I meant had she heard anything or learned anything new. We'll get more info tomorrow. Don't want to text about it. Right. Okay. Text me in AM or if you hear anything later.
Don't want to text about it, correct?
Yes.
TOMM means tomorrow.
Yes.
This was January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
Tomorrow would have been January 30th,
Yes.
2022. Is that right?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Does this appear to be a group chat between and among yourself, Nicole Albert, Chris Albert, and Matt McCabe?
I don't believe Chris Albert's on that.
I'm sorry, my mistake. Brian Albert.
Yeah, Brian,
Okay.
sorry.
So the four of you?
Yes.
Okay. And does this appear to be a group chat that was engaged between and among y'all on February 1st, starting, I'm going to try to bookend it, starting
Okay.
at about noon, ending at about 5 or 5:30 that evening?
I didn't look, but I'll take your word for it.
First one or two?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is a
February
cross.
1st,
It's
yeah.
a cross. It's a cross.
Taking a look at that first text, who is that from and who is it to?
It's from Brian Albert, and it's to myself, my sister Nicole, and Matt McCabe, my
And
husband.
What does that text say?
Julie said Channel 4 is in D&E.
Explain what that text means.
So Brian Albert is telling us that Julie told him Channel 4 is in D&E.
Who's Julie?
I'm sorry, Julie Albert.
Thank you. Let's go to the next text. What is D&E?
D&E is a sub shop that is owned by Chris Albert.
Is that in Canton?
Oh, sorry. Yes, it's in Canton.
On the main street of Canton?
Yes.
Directly next door to what?
Waterfall.
Across the street from
Oh,
Waterfall.
sorry. C.F. McCarthy's, yeah.
Thank you. Across the street from Waterfall, directly adjoining, they have an adjoining wall to C.F. McCarthy's, correct?
Yes.
Can you read what this text says, who it's from and who it's to?
This is from Matt McCabe to myself, my sister Nicole, and Brian. Eating, I assume. Ask Chris to ask some questions. Tell them the guy never went into the house.
What does tell them the guy never went into the house mean to you? How did you take that?
I took that as John never came in the house.
Who's the guy?
John.
John O'Keefe.
Yes.
And the beginning of that sentence is tell them that the guy never came in the house, correct?
Yes.
And the sentence before that is ask Chris to ask some questions, correct?
Yes.
So this is Matt McCabe directing that Chris ask questions of Channel 4, correct?
I wouldn't say directing.
Whatever word you want to use. He was
No, I'm saying that Matt.
suggesting.
I think we're all looking to find out what happened, so Matt was like, ask some questions. What do they know?
Oh, yeah,
And
right.
also indicating that Chris should tell them the guy never came in the house, correct?
John never came in the house, correct?
Okay. Next text, please.
This text is from Brian.
And this is in response to the text above that you just read, correct?
Yes.
Where Matt McCabe said, tell Chris to find out, get an update or something, and tell them that the guy never came in the house.
Yes.
This is in response to that text.
Yes.
And what does Brian Albert respond?
Exactly.
One word, correct?
Yes.
Next text, please. This is a green box, so I presume this is you.
Yes, it is.
And this is to whom? And what does your text read?
It means, oh my God.
It's ONG, but
Yeah.
it meant to be OMG, correct?
Yes, yeah, I do a lot of errors.
Which stands for oh my God.
Yes.
Next text, please.
So this is from my sister Nicole to myself, to Brian, and to Matt.
And what does that text read?
It says, I assume it's just to eat, but Brian, if she is there, ask her what the deal is.
Next text, please. And she mentions a she, a pronoun she.
Yes.
Is that referring to Julie Albert?
To be honest, I don't know who she's referring to.
Well, remember the first text started, or did the first text start with someone reporting that Julie said Channel 4 was in D&E?
Yes, it did.
So would that prior text mean get Julie Albert to get some updates on what's going on? If she's there, does that mean if Julie is at D&E, hence she just reported that Channel 4 is there?
I'm truly not sure if who she's referring to as the she.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to the next text, please.
This text is from myself. This says to ask if we heard if she is in a mental hospital.
Next text, please.
This is from me. Kerry is here going over timeline.
Who's the Kerry referring to?
Kerry Roberts.
What is here?
I would assume here would mean my house.
Next text, please.
This is from Brian. I did hear that.
Next text, please. Who is this text from and who is it to?
This text is from me to my sister Nicole, to Brian, to Matt. And we handed the phone to Kerry.
Who's Kerry?
Kerry Roberts.
What phone are you referring to?
Mine.
Who was on the other end of that phone?
On February 1st, I believe it could have been Michael Proctor.
Next text, please. Who is this from and who's it to?
This is from me. She is telling him everything.
Everything is in all caps with an exclamation point, correct?
Yes, it is.
Who's the him that you're referring to in
Proctor.
this text?
I believe it was Michael Proctor.
Next text, please.
This is from me, all the stuff.
Next text, please.
This is from Matt to myself, Nicole, and Brian. Yep, if she pleads out, it will end. If she fights it, it will be an episode.
Oh! Sheezy! If she pleads out, that's the end of it. But if she goes to trial, it's gonna be trouble. I want to hear that again. Oh my God, the smoking gun.
Text, please.
This is from Matt to myself, Nicole, and Brian. Yep, if she pleads out, it will end. If she fights it, it will be an episode.
Who's she?
I'm assuming that would be Miss Reed.
Next text, please.
This is from Nicole to me, to Matt, and to Brian. She liked the text about
The previous text?
Yes.
Meaning like a thumbs up or a like?
Yeah, it just says liked. So
The one that reads, yeah, if she pleads, it will end. If she fights, it will be an episode.
yes.
Next text, please.
I
This
love
is
how she's trying so hard to maintain. She's just like, yeah, this means nothing. This is not a smoking gun. It's just text, innocent texts between non-conspirators. Doom, 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 doom.
From Matt. Oh, sorry. To me, to Nicole, and to Brian.
And what does this read?
Brian, sitting separate.
Is that a period or a comma? I honestly can't see. Is that a period or a comma between Brian and sitting? Or can you tell?
I can't tell if it is or it's just like the way it printed out. I'm not sure.
Next text, please.
Brian, to me, Nicole, and Matt. Okay.
And the next text.
This is me, Matt, me, Nicole, Matt, and Brian.
And what did you say? What did you write in this text?
I wrote you listening.
And what's the timestamp on this?
That is 5:15.
And in fact, at 5:15, Ms. Roberts was in your house being personally interviewed by Massachusetts State Police, correct?
They were there. I'm not sure if this is the exact time, but yes, they did come over.
Just to be clear and to orient us, there was a phone conversation that you were privy to between Kerry Roberts and Michael Proctor telephonically, correct?
She was
Earlier in the day.
Yeah, earlier in the day he had called me and then Kerry had asked to speak with him.
And that's the handing of the phone.
Yes.
Then later, a couple of hours later, 5-ish or so, she was still at your house. Michael Proctor came over and interviewed her at your home.
No,
Sorry,
Yeah.
Massachusetts State Police.
came
Yeah,
over and
yeah.
spoke to myself, her, and Matt.
Yeah.
And you wrote, you listening to the group, correct?
Yes.
Who was that specifically directed to?
I honestly don't know.
Was there anybody?
Oh, wait a second. I just realized something that I may have missed. I think I missed this in the first trial. You listening, did she have an open line? Like, as Kerry Roberts is being interviewed, she kind of took her phone, dialed, like one of them, and then just kind of left the phone there and just walked away so that they could mute themselves and on their end be like listening to the Michael Proctor and Kerry Roberts interview. Oh, dear God. That's what probably happened. I would bet money.
Else in the house during her interview other than you and the troopers?
My husband, Matt, my daughter, her friend, my other daughter.
Of the people on this text chain, the only person that would have been in the house that could have conceivably, quote unquote, listened would be Matt. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Next text, please.
It's from me to Matt, Nicole, and Brian.
And what does it read?
Cops here again.
You were reporting to the others on this text stream that the police had arrived at your house. They were in your house with you and Kerry that you just described, correct?
Yes, I was just telling them that they were here again.
I was just telling them they were here again. I was not reporting. Why would you use such a word? That is an offensive word. I was reporting. You make me sound like I'm the mastermind of this. Oh, wait, that's right. I am.
Next text, please. Who is this from and who's it to?
This is from my sister, Nicole, and Nicole says, call us after.
And what time was this?
5:23.
Did you take this to mean that she wanted you to call the group after Kerry Roberts' interview and update them about that interview?
I took it as that she just wanted, to call and see what the cops said and if there was any update, any information.
Next text, please.
This is from Matt, and it's to myself, Nicole, and Brian. This girl could write a book nonstop.
Was that in reference to Kerry Roberts having her interview with the Massachusetts State Police?
Yes, it was.
And by the way, I know there are several smoking guns here, and you're like, Larry, why are you not reacting to this? This is all a repeat from the first trial, so I'm not surprised. I'm genuinely like, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, I remember this too. I remember that. So like, in case you're wondering, like, why is Larry off key here for whatever reason? I'm not. I am actually definitely in key because this all happened in the first trial. So none of these texts that are absolutely smoking guns, like this woman is just writing a book about this, is it all came before. This is all from the previous trial. And if you haven't, I have so many playlists. You guys have to go check them out. I have Brian Higgins. I have coming up Trooper Paul. I have Brian Albert coming up. I have disgraced former Massachusetts State Police Trooper Proctor. I have Trooper Buchanan. I have Allie McCabe. I have Matthew McCabe. I have the first Jennifer McCabe, and I have Guarino from last year. They're all playlists. They're all playlists on my channel. Go check them out. Oh my God, folks! I have content about this trial for days. So don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll be notified when new videos will be coming out, because you definitely don't want to miss them. I mean, this is the most insane trial I've ever seen in my life. Let's keep watching.
Girl is Kerry, correct?
Yes.
Next text, please. Who's this from and who's it to?
This is from me to Nicole, Brian, and Matt.
What time is this text?
5:32.
And what do you write to the group?
I love it.
And this is in direct response to Matt McCabe's, your husband's text about Kerry Roberts could write a book, correct?
Yes.
Suggesting that both you and Mr. McCabe were listening to her interview, correct?
The mouthpiece.
We could hear different parts of it, correct?
Next text, please. And who's this from and who's it to?
This is from me to Nicole, to Brian, to Matt.
What did you write?
I wrote, she is telling them everything.
Similar to the text that we earlier saw that was in all caps when you indicated she's telling them everything, correct?
Yes.
On the phone. That was in reference to what she was saying on the phone.
Yes.
This is in reference to the live interview, correct?
Yes.
Also indicating that you were listening to and were privy to the content of her conversation with the police.
I could hear bits and pieces of it, yes.
Enough to say that she's telling them everything.
When I used the word everything, I meant it not only was she telling them what had happened, but she was also telling them opinions and different things.
Okay, so you could hear it that much.
I could hear her saying some opinions.
Okay. Next text, please.
This is from my sister Nicole.
And that's dangerous because my mouthpiece needs to be controlled. She, Kerry Roberts, has no right to tell the police things that I did not tell her to tell them. And I was very angry with Kerry Roberts afterwards when I learned that she has been telling them things that I told her not to say. That's the part that she's not admitting to, which absolutely happened.
To myself, to Matt, to Brian.
Bet
This
money.
is in response to she is telling them everything, correct?
Yes.
And the text reads what?
Good.
Next text, please.
This is from Matt to myself, to Nicole, and to Brian. He says, going to miss the basketball game at this rate.
You mean Matt says.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Matt.
oh, yeah. The police investigation is going to make me miss the basketball game. Yeah, guy's dead. Yeah, guy's dead. Guy's schmed. Who cares? I need to go to the basketball game. Can the police wrap it up, please? We know who the killers are. It's us. Who cares? Let's just I gotta go to the basketball game. More important stuff are happening. Dead Boston cops, schmops. Basketball game. Gotta go. And she's smiling through all of this. Like, oh, I gotta go to the basketball game. All of these people are gonna need an attorney by the time this is over. I just want to say this. Every single one of them is gonna need an attorney. And you know who else is an attorney? I am. And if you've been injured, 1-844-774-HURT. Call us anytime, 24/7. We have an answering service. Happy to hear what physical injuries you have sustained so that we can get you money in your pocket. Anyway, back to the video.
Matt says, going to miss the basketball game at this rate.
Indicating that he was still in the house and still privy to the conversation between Kerry Roberts and the Massachusetts State Police.
He was waiting for them to talk, but Kerry kept was, as he said, she could write a book, so he felt he was going to miss the game because she just kept talking.
Next text, please. That may be the end of it.
Yeah, it is.
Is that the last text on the page?
Yes, it is.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Ms. McCabe,
Yes.
these text messages were on a private chat, both the one between you and your sister, as well as the group chat, correct? Those are private chats, not open to the public.
Correct.
You never intended, obviously, for any of those texts to become public, correct?
I handed my phone over, so I
That's
knew
not the
all my
question.
texts would be seen.
When you were writing the text, when the group was chatting back and forth or texting back and forth, those were intended to be private texts between and among just the people on the text string, correct?
I just was texting my family. I wasn't thinking any more of who was going to see it.
You certainly did not expect when you were writing those texts that the defense, Ms. Karen Reed's representatives, would ever get a hold of those texts. That was not in your mind, correct?
Would never have been in my mind, no.
That
Yeah.
is a textbook example, what we've just seen, of witnesses colluding with one another about a subject matter that's under investigation, correct?
Oh my God. Oh my God. He went for it. Jackson, I love you. Marry me. Sorry, Chandler. He did not do this in the first trial. Jackson has gotten bold. This is a brand new Jackson, folks. He's like, next text. You never expected anybody to see this, did you? You never thought the world is going to see this, did you? You didn't expect the defense is going to see this, did you? We have evidence that you two colluded and you four colluded. Objection? Oh my God. I'm about to cry, folks. Tears of happiness. Jackson is not pulling any punches this time. He just went for the knockout. Very rarely do defense attorneys do this. Everybody knows it's a very, very, very dangerous thing to do, to basically give the witnesses an out, because you're building. The jury already believes collusion. You don't even need to say it. But Jackson just went for it. He just said it. He just came out and said it. Oh my God. I'm sorry, folks. I can't calm down. I am in awe. I am in shock and horror in the best of ways. Don't get me wrong. Wow. I am melting. I am literally, as I sit before you, I wish you could feel what I'm feeling in my body right now. I am melting into a puddle, formerly known as Attorney Larry Forman. That is one of the sexiest things I have ever heard in my entire life. This right here, that statement right there, is sexier than Spicy Draco's TMZ guy. Well, I could say the same thing about having Amber Heard as a client for you, Ms. Bredehoft. This is evidence of collusion, isn't it, Ms. McCabe? Objection? Grounds? I have none. It really hurts my case. The liar, objection. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I need to calm down. Okay. Woosah, Larry. Woosah. We're going to go back. We're going to watch it again, and then I want to see what happens.
Those texts that the defense, Ms. Karen Reed's representatives, would ever get a hold of those texts. That was not in your mind, correct?
would never have been in my mind, no.
That is a textbook example, what we've just seen, of witnesses colluding with one another about a subject matter that's under investigation, correct?
And move for an instruction.
All right, jurors, disregard that comment.
Well, that's not a comment. That's a question. That's a question, Bev. And the answer is yes, that is evidence. Look, her face just melted off. McCabe, Jennifer, you can hide all you want. We can see the truth right through you. She didn't even flinch. She was like, and? Evidence of collusion? And? Someone in her position being accused like that would be, if false, they would be up in arms. What are you talking about? That is not collusion. Are you crazy? She's like, I need help here. I need some protection. Come on, Brennan, speak up. Come on, Bev. We're all in this together, remember? All working together now. Wow. He just went for the throat punch and he got it. She all but admitted it just with her actions and her face. The jury saw it. And Jackson knows that the jury believes it. And Bev coming to her rescue is not even gonna put a dent in this. If anything, the jurors are now, from this moment forward, thinking Jenn, Bren, and Bev are all in this together. And Jackson is the only one speaking truth in this courtroom. Because there was no comment. Bev is lying to the jury. That was a direct question. The question was, this is evidence of witnesses colluding their testimony, correct? And she's like, no side comments. You are to disregard any side comments that Jackson is doing because those are side comments that we don't like and it hurts our case and our cause. So please disregard the bad questions that we don't like and we don't want being answered in my courtroom. Thank you. This is the sexiest exchange I have ever seen in my entire life in a courtroom. To just go for the throat punch, risking the possibility that the witness is going to go, no, of course not, and excuse and eviscerate and unravel everything. But because Brennan came to her rescue, he actually cemented Jackson's question into concrete. Think about it. If Jennifer McCabe had a chance to answer that in that moment, she would say, no, of course it's not collusion. You don't think it's collusion? No, of course not. This is just people talking. And maybe the jury would believe her or not believe her. Doesn't matter. But now he asked, this is collusion, isn't it? Objection. Now judge is instructing. The jurors are sitting there confused like, that was a question. That wasn't a statement. She, by virtue of their own collusion in the courtroom, the interior collusion, so this is the exterior collusion we're talking about between Kerry Roberts, Jenn McCabe, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, etc., Brian Higgins. That's the exterior collusion. That happened 3.5 years ago. Now the interior collusion between Bren, Jenn, and Bev, those three, their collusion, now the jury is going to be aware of it. And if I was Jackson, I would keep highlighting this collusion because the more dots they can plot on the graph, the more the prosecution is going to get destroyed. And they will get the trifecta, the not guilty, not guilty, not guilty when this case is over, in my humble opinion. And then the feds are going to come in, scoop everybody up, and people are going to start getting locked up, starting with the McAlberts, the pinnacle of the Canton Mafia. Fascinating. Fascinating. This is one of those rare occasions where asking the question you don't ask, you actually ask. Good on you, Jackson. God.
Disregard that question.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Yeah. In the text that we just saw, you were colluding with other witnesses, percipient witnesses in this case through those text messages, were you not?
I was not.
You were organizing your statements to the police based on what you overheard and what you heard during Kerry Roberts' interview with the Massachusetts State Police, weren't you?
No, I was not.
You were reporting back to other percipient witnesses.
What is this cameraman doing? Dude, this is the biggest questions that have ever been asked in a criminal trial in the history of the United States. And you are focusing on Karen and Jackson? Show us Jennifer. I want to see Jen's face.
This is what you heard and saw during other witnesses' statements to the police, to wit, Kerry Roberts, correct?
I was telling them Kerry was speaking with the police.
And you told them she's telling them, quote, everything, correct?
Yes, I told them some of the opinions that she stated.
And when Mr. McCabe said she could write a book, she's going on, in other words, she's going on and on, your statement was, I love it, correct?
Yes.
And you reported that back to other witnesses who were not privy to Ms. Roberts' statements to the police, correct?
To my sister and to my brother-in-law, yes.
And then your sister asked for updates
And that's not collusion?
when Kerry Roberts was done, correct?
I don't know if it was in regard to updates when she was done or updates like, did they tell us anything? Is there anything new? We were still all trying to figure out what had happened.
The four of you were discussing the facts surrounding this case, not only with each other, but discussing interviews, formal police interviews that you heard or overheard with another witness, weren't you?
I told them some of the things that Kerry Roberts said, yes.
And you were happy about what she said after you had created this timeline with her, correct?
The timeline had nothing to do with it.
Oh, of course not.
But it was certainly chronologically. Her interview with the police was after this timeline had already been created between you and Kerry Roberts.
Yes, we both put down what had happened so we would remember.
And then once
So we would lie better.
you were responding to the rest of the group. She's telling them everything, meaning everything we just crafted in this timeline, right?
No, I meant she was telling them everything. She was telling her personal opinions about Miss Reed.
Oh my God. I think I just got a little high from that testimony. I'm not exaggerating, folks. This was one of the most epic. It's like watching Mozart perform live. That's how good that was.
The morning of January 29th, 2022. Were you home
I was home in Braintree.
in Braintree? Who were you with?
My husband?
Did you receive a phone call?
Yes, from Kerry Roberts. It was about 6:15,
Kerry Roberts called
between
her.
6:15 and 6:30 in the morning.
Did you know Kerry Roberts?
Yes,
How did you know her?
she lived in Braintree for a while. John and her were friends. They went to the junior prom together. And then we found out that she moved. She lived in Canton, and she was around the corner from us, and she helped us out.
Okay, so this is important. For those of you who did not watch the trial, bookmark this in your minds. Kerry Roberts knew John. They were high school sweethearts. They went to junior prom together. Then Kerry Roberts moves to Canton, joins the mafioso, the McAlberts, and becomes besties with Jennifer McCabe. She is one of the glue pieces that holds this case together because she, on one hand, is friendly with John O'Keefe when he's still alive, but she's also besties with McCabe, Jennifer. So she connects the two worlds in a way that I personally did not know before. Kerry Roberts is an instrumental piece of the puzzle. Without her, this case maybe would have fallen apart years ago, at least months ago, maybe last year. But Kerry Roberts has been influencing Mama Bear O'Keefe. And with her help, Jennifer has been influencing her. And this whole network of bile has been unleashed upon this poor woman. It's very possible, again, I'm going back to the whole, she doesn't know as much as she thinks she knows. And if that's the case, the minute this case gets cracked open, Mama Bear O'Keefe may join the defense. She's going to be the first one to call Alan Jackson and say, you were right all along. If she doesn't do that, well then she is more than just a pawn. She is a Jennifer McCabe agent as well. That's the calculus that we have to do. So time will tell. Her actions will speak louder than her words.
And when you were helping take care of the kids, would you often see Miss Roberts?
Yeah, because she'd take Patrick and her son Ryan places. And, yeah, so I saw her all the time.
Often?
Yeah.
When she called you that morning, do you remember the conversation?
Yeah, she said John was found in a snowbank. And I didn't understand, which I said, what do you mean found in a snowbank? She said, they found him in the snow. They don't know what happened. She says he's brought up to the Good Samaritan Hospital. So she says, I'm going to come and get you and Papa because I don't want you driving. And I says, we can drive there. We both have four-wheel drives. So she says, no, I'm coming. So she came.
Oh, okay. This is also important. No, we can drive. We have 4-wheel drives. No, 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 no. I need to make sure to get to you first. This is what narcissists do. Isolate and control the narrative. This is huge. Let me get to you first before anyone else gets to influence you. I have to be the one to influence you first. Do you understand? And of course, what is this woman gonna say? No, woman, screw off, I got this. No, she's gonna be like, okay, you wanna help, come help. That's fine. I will accept your offer. And the manipulation can begin. Very crucial.
And it took a while to get there because the snow was bad. And in the meantime, I had called one of my nieces to find out, because one of my other nieces worked at Good Samaritan. I just wanted to know if she could find out anything about it. And I just couldn't get a hold of her. So when we get up there, they told us to sit in this room, and they would bring us down shortly. So finally they said, okay, you can go down. So we started walking down the corridor. And as I'm walking down, I hear Karen Reed yell, Peg, is he dead? Is he dead, Peg? Peg, is he dead? And I just kept walking. And then I asked, I don't know who it was, a nurse or a worker at the hospital. And I said, what is she doing here? And she said, oh, she's being psych-evaluated. So then they brought us down to the room where my son was. He's bruised up. His eyes were closed. Just not a good scene.
When Kerry Roberts picked you up in the car, did anybody go with you and Miss Roberts on the drive from your home in Braintree to Good Samaritan Hospital?
No, we were the only three in the car.
Who was the third person?
My husband.
During the drive to Good Samaritan Hospital that morning,
Yep.
did you ever have a chance while you were in the car to speak to the defendant?
Yes.
Please tell the jury about that conversation.
Here we go.
I asked her what happened, and she said, we went to a party. I left him there. I said, you just left him there? She said, yes, I just left him there.
Wait. We went to a party and I left him there. He's a grown man. What's the problem? And she goes, what do you mean you left him there? You left him there? Why the accusation? I don't understand. Does she just not like Karen? What is she to do? Babysit her boyfriend? Let me wait in the car while you go inside and have some fun and drink. No, she's angry. She's mad. Oh, you want to go to a party? Go to a party. I'm going home. I'll see you in a couple hours, says Karen to John before she leaves 34 Fairview. Spidey sense is tingling. Let's keep watching.
Whether she left him inside or outside?
No, she just said, I left him there.
Did she tell you whether or not she left him in the driveway or the street?
She just said, no, I just left him there.
You told us that when you got into Good Samaritan Hospital, you were walking down the hallway and you had another interaction with the defendant.
Yes.
And you told us that she was asking if he was dead.
When they took us down to the emergency room, the doors open, and there was a corridor to go down to the other rooms, and she was on the left-hand side, and that's when she saw me come in, and that's when she started yelling, is he dead, Peg? Is he dead, Peg?
When she was yelling, could you describe her mood or demeanor? Was she animated?
She's loud, and I don't know. She was just loud, and as she was saying it.
And when she was asking you, is he dead, did you again ask her a question?
I just asked the nurse, what is she doing here?
And did you speak to Miss Reed herself?
No.
At some point?
Wait,
you and your husband?
why would she ask the nurse, what is she doing here? She's worried about her boyfriend. Again, this accusatory tone just doesn't make any sense. What do you mean you just left him there? He's a grown man. What is she doing here? That's his girlfriend. Something is just not adding up, folks. Something is just not adding up. I don't know what to make of it. Something is just not adding up. Let's keep watching.
Husband got to see John?
Yes.
And were you with Kerry at some point?
Kerry was there, and then my son Paul was there.
There have been an affidavit signed by an unknown person talking about Catherine Peter. Catherine Peter, and I tweeted about this, has apparently been involved in a very, very, very close-knit circle with Lally, Brennan, Morrissey, and others. The entire district attorney's office has been involved in trying to manipulate the narrative and, most importantly, lock up Aiden and lock up Karen Reed before the trial. Now, obviously, their efforts have failed, but this woman, allegedly, the affidavit states, because she's not the one who wrote it, it was one of her friends, states that she has been paid $1,500 a month through Cash App, which is very difficult to track if you don't look at bank statements. It's not a credit card, you don't get a receipt, etc. So, under the table, she was getting paid, allegedly, to manipulate the process, manipulate jurors, manipulate the public. She was essentially spearheading the anti-Free Karen Reed campaign, or one of the players that have been spearheading that campaign. And there are definitely others. If there's one, there are more. And now she has become a mole. She has become a spy for the Free Karen Reed side, which is amazing. As Sun Tzu said, you cannot commence warfare without the use of spies. Here is my prediction as to what is going to happen. Number one, this is going to be brought to Auntie Bev's attention on Monday, April 28th, which is tomorrow. Unfortunately, Bev is going to deny it. She's going to say this is unsubstantiated, this is not enough, trial is moving forward, I don't care. And that's expected. So don't be surprised when that happens on Monday. Same with the Rock McAlbert from the jury visit on Friday. Same thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my ex. You'll learn a little bit more about it. But most importantly, here is what I'm thinking. For some of you who have not seen the trial of the Chicago 7, let me give you the TLDR version of what happened in that movie. It's a movie based on a real case. I believe in either the late 60s or early 70s, this actually happened. There were 7 protesters leading the protests against the Vietnam War. Okay? And it doesn't matter who they are. One of them was Abby Hoffman. If that tells you anything, maybe you know more than I do. But essentially, there were 7 that were prosecuted by the United States government for violating American laws. The movie was made about them, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and actually there's a phrase in that movie, the whole world is watching, in the very, very early stages of the movie. If you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about, when the egg gets thrown at Abby Hoffman and his friend. And the thing is, the most interesting part of that movie that is parallel to this case is the break open moment of the movie. What happened? The previous administration, the United States administration, did not want to prosecute the Chicago 7. The new administration, however, made the affirmative decision to prosecute them to set an example. It was a political move. They didn't really care about winning. They wanted to prove a point. And what that point was, that's up to you to decide. But whatever, that's what they wanted to do. It was a political trial. They were there as political asylees, political refugees. They were not there as as criminal defendants in a trial. And the prosecution was well aware of it, but they still moved forward because the administration is pushing forward, and the Attorney General of the United States, with his assistant, moved it forward. Presiding was Judge Hoffman, not related to Abby. And the break open moment was when Ramsey Clark, the former Attorney General in the previous administration, gets called to the witness stand, and the judge, Judge Hoffman, declines to allow him to testify. I have a feeling we're going to have a Ramsey Clark moment in this case. What ended up happening in the trial of the Chicago 7 movie and in the real case is that Ramsey Clark, the former U.S. Attorney General, was called to testify by William Kunstler, the defense attorney representing the Chicago 7, including Abby Hoffman. And the problem was, the judge would not allow him to testify in front of a jury. Ramsey Clark, the former Attorney General, had to testify by avowal. For those of you who don't know what that means, testimony by avowel, A-V-O-W-E-L, simply means that you bring, it's like a voir dire. You bring testimony, but the jury never hears it. The jury's out of the room. They never get to participate. And that is one way to protect the record. If you have not seen the movie, that is the most phenomenal scene in the entire movie, is when first, there are 2 scenes, when William Kunstler actually finally meets Ramsey Clark and has a conversation with him, letting him know that he's going to call upon him to testify, which he could easily just say no. A former Attorney General getting called to the witness stand is unheard of. But it is possible, and it did happen in that case and in the movie, reflecting that case. But the thing is, the most interesting thing is we're going to have a Ramsey Clark. Our Ramsey Clark is Catherine Peter. Mark my words, if the defense has the ability, and I'm sure that they have, and they can subpoena her if they have to. All they have to do is find her. They can subpoena Catherine Peter in their case in chief. Now, one question becomes, is Catherine Peter on the witness list? I don't know. I don't have the witness list in front of me. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments below if Catherine Peter is on the witness list. If she is, all bets are off. She's going to testify 100%. If she's not, then Alan Jackson is going to file a motion, or Ms. Little or Alessi or Yannetti are all going to file a motion requesting that the court allow Catherine Peter to testify and be added to the witness list. And here's what's going to happen. Bev is going to deny it. She's going to say it's too late in the process. If Jackson does it on Monday, we have a shot. At least there'll be plenty of notice. And Brennan, in 10 weeks, when the defense puts on their case, he can't say, oh, I'm being blindsided. Brennan, you knew about this for the last 2.5 months. Sit down. But it's very possible that Bev will still bend over backwards to try and protect him, to try and protect the integrity, which there's nothing left. But whatever she's trying to protect, the invisible integrity of the Norfolk County DA's office. And then something magical is going to happen. Catherine Peter is going to become the Ramsey Clark of the Karen Read trial 2.0. She's going to take the witness stand. She's going to testify by avowal without the jury being present. And she's going to say exactly what she's been thinking and what she's been hearing and what she's been doing and what she was getting paid to do. Unbelievable stuff. One of the craziest things that she alleges, listen to this, folks. This is almost unreal. Peter was told by Jennifer McCabe that Jennifer McCabe informed Michael Morrissey that Jennifer is not testifying unless Turtle Boy is in jail. That's a direct quote. Michael Morrissey informed Jennifer McCabe he would then have to subpoena her. And then Jennifer told Morrissey that, quote, then we won't say what you want us to say, end quote. That's essentially Jennifer admitting that I will lie on the stand so long as Turtle Boy is in jail. If he's out, I can't testify. I'm too scared of Turtle Boy, says Jennifer. Here's another one. The day Peter showed up to protest at the Karen Read trial, Peter informed me, this is the person who wrote the affidavit, quote, Jenn McCabe paid me, end quote, for her show of support. Can't make this stuff up. This is all real. This is an affidavit submitted to the court. Here's another one. Peter is, quote, very close with Hank Brennan, end quote, and has had multiple conversations and meetings with him. I have personally heard Peter on the phone with him, and she recognizes Hank's voice on the other end of the line. She told me she is paid $1,500 cash each month via Cash App for her assistance in the Karen Read and Aidan Carney prosecutions. I mean, folks, this is like Amber Heard 2.0. The anti-free Karen Read movement is the modern day Amber Heard. They are paid actors. They are not real people. They are family of the McAlberts, friends of the McAlberts. Those are going to do it for free, some of them. Some of others are probably getting paid. My only source of revenue for this is YouTube. YouTube pays me to make these videos. I don't get paid by the defense team. I don't want to get paid by the defense team. They got enough on their plate. Karen Read's already paying enough. I don't want her money. This is crazy. This is insanity what is happening. So Catherine Peter is the Ramsey Clark of the Karen Read trial. She's going to take the witness stand in a few weeks, and during the defense's case in chief, of course. Hank Brennan will never call her in a million years, for obvious reasons. She has nothing good to say about him or his office. The defense is going to call her to the witness stand, and she's going to testify. But Bev won't let her in front of the jury. That's the key. Bev will force her to testify by avowal, give the testimony through voir dire, and then this all hell is going to break loose. This case is going to be the trial of the Chicago 7 2.0. Mark my words. That's where we're headed. Remember I told you on X a few days ago that there's going to be a moment. I tweeted about this. Go check it out. There's going to come a moment in this trial that everything is going to fall apart. Nothing is going to make sense. And it is going to blow the lid off of this case. And everyone is going to get pretty much caught in one fell swoop. The entire conspiracy will be uncovered. It's just something. The weakest link, all it takes is one. You don't need everybody to come forward and admit that they lied. We're already having that with Kerry Roberts, with Timothy Nuttall. It's already happening, and those are the first two witnesses. You know, witness number 3 is Peggy, which we'll get to in just a moment. But by the way, let me take this moment to say, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and comment. It helps you, it helps me, everybody wins. The idea behind the fact that this case is on the verge of collapse is no longer a mystery or a myth. It is actually boots on the ground, probable. It's not possible anymore. It has now reached the realm of probability because of this affidavit is exactly that.
On January 28th, 2022, it was a Friday night. John and Karen had made plans to meet up with friends for drinks. It was a happy and normal night for them. They were affectionate, they were loving, they were in good spirits, nothing out of the ordinary. They started at a local watering hole called C.F. McCarthy's. You've heard that name before and you'll hear it again. And eventually they made their way over to the Waterfall Bar and Grill, another bar where they ended up. When they got to the Waterfall Bar and Grill, the Albert family was already there, already heavily drinking. You'll learn that this was no ordinary family, the Alberts. The Albert family was a well-known Canton family. Some might even describe them as a very powerful Canton family. Brian Albert was there at the Waterfall. You'll hear that he's a longtime Boston police officer. His wife, Nicole Albert, was there with him. His brother, Chris Albert, a powerful Canton politician. He sits on the select board. The select board actually governs the police department, the Canton PD. He was there. His wife, Julie Albert, was there. Their daughter, Caitlin Albert, was there. His sister-in-law, Jennifer McCabe, was there. Her husband, Matt McCabe, was also there. They were all there drinking before John and before Karen ever arrived. You'll learn that a man by the name of Brian Higgins, also a law enforcement officer, and longtime friend, longtime pal of Brian Albert, he was also there. And the two of them, the two Bryans, had been drinking most of the night together.
Playing grab ass.
You'll see video footage from the waterfall, which will show you that Karen and John were happy. They were affectionate. They were caring. They were loving. Just business as usual, out on a date on a Friday night. But that exact same video footage which lead investigator Michael Proctor plainly chose to ignore that video footage. It paints a very different picture of Brian Higgins. You'll learn that Higgins had romantic designs for Karen. That becomes important.
Later.
Brian Higgins had engaged Karen in flirtatious texts, but days earlier she had put a stop to it. She had ghosted him. The evidence will show that the first time he saw her and was in her presence after being rejected by her was when she walked into the Waterfall Bar and Grill along with her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. At 11:58 p.m., just minutes before John ultimately arrived at the Albert residence, you'll see a video at the Waterfall of an unsettling interaction, troubling interaction between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe. And unlike the lead investigator, Michael Proctor, in this case, you won't ignore that evidence. As the bar was closing around 12 midnight, the Alberts invited everybody back to their house for a get-together to just keep the night going.
Love it.
And you'll learn that Karen and John ultimately pulled up to the house. They got out of the SUV to make sure they had the right address. You see, neither John nor Karen had ever been to 34 Fairview. They weren't even sure they were at the right address. And the evidence will establish...
See, it shows how much of an outsider both her and John were. That's huge. It's a lot easier to frame and throw somebody under the bus who's not part of the clan. They've never been to 34 Fairview. He already painted that the Albert family are a powerful...
common parlance. In other words, just ignored him.
Now that they're this powerful family and they're there for the first time ever, and there's allegation that he's been in a fight, you know, the jurors are already going to be scratching their heads, scratching their chins, going, wait, so if he wasn't hit by a car, he got into a fight, who did he get into a fight with? Who killed him? Was it Brian? Keep hearing that name, Brian Albert. We keep now hearing Brian Higgins, who also had the thing for Karen. Was it a jealous stunt? Was it vengeance? Was it vendetta? Was it something else? Jurors are scratching their heads. They're wondering. They're curious. They want to know more. They're hungry. And there will be more, obviously.
John got out of the SUV, and the evidence will establish John got out of the SUV and went into the house. Let me say that again. The facts unequivocally.
Oh my God, they went
for it. The data, the science, the witnesses will all unequivocally establish that John O'Keefe went into the Albert home that night.
Oh my God! He's just going for the gullet. Oh my God, folks. This is the best opening I've ever heard in my entire life.
Eyewitnesses and forensic data will establish that fact.
Yes!
When he didn't come back out, you'll learn that Karen grew increasingly frustrated.
Yeah.
Upset. She was left alone in a car, in the cold.
She texted him, she called him.
With the car idling. John had gone into the house. She expected him to come right back out, and when he didn't,
she left.
Seconds turned into minutes, and minutes started to clock away. She left John a voicemail, then another voicemail, voicemail after voicemail after voicemail, text messages. But he was unresponsive. He didn't pick up a single call. He didn't respond to a single text.
What a way to paint a picture, folks, by the way. He didn't respond to a single call. He didn't respond to a single text. Why? Because he was unconscious.
Yesterday, you testified that when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
it was clear to you that her reluctance to cooperate at that time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was the...
I didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury 3 years ago, didn't you?
I
Yes.
testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
There you
were
go.
under oath then, as you're under oath
Yes.
today, correct?
Yes.
You swore to tell the truth.
Yes.
I am telling the truth.
No, that's not.
You swore
Answer the
to
question.
tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
Yes.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today?
Your memory in April
my
of 2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good.
So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? And your answer was, after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have rooms set up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy that she wasn't able to see him, meaning John. And she kept trying, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yes. 3 years later, you testified with certainty that she didn't want to give them, right?
Your answer changed.
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony
Yes.
yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir.
You
To the
lied.
extent that I ask yes or no question, I'd like yes or no answers. Starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday, I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation, and your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right.
Oh, whoa, 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 buddy. What just happened? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? He just brought in the previous trial. The jury now knows, or at least suspects. Oh my God, what a monkey. Oh my God, this is gonna tip off some jurors that the previous jury in this case could not decide. If there's at least one juror on that panel who has served on a jury before and they know there's such a thing as a mistrial when jurors can't decide. Oh my God, I wanna hear this part again. This is bad for Brennan, really, really, really bad, and excellent for the defense. Wow!
The evidence will establish that Michael Proctor himself, the lead investigator and architect of this entire case, has a long-standing and personal relationship with the Albert family.
Yep.
Yes, that same Albert family.
Yep.
His sister was close friends with Julie Albert. He personally sat at head tables at weddings, or at a head table at weddings with the Albert family. He entrusted the Alberts with babysitting his own children. You heard that correctly. And yet he was the lead detective assigned to investigate the circumstances of a Boston police officer laying dead on the Alberts' front lawn.
Wild.
That's not just bias, you'll learn. That's not just coincidence. That, folks, is corruption.
Yep. Yes. Oh, he
We'll see
said
how
it.
far it went.
He said it. Corruption.
Michael Proctor was alone
Nice.
with all the critical evidence in this case, alone with Karen Reed's phone, alone with John's phone, alone with video footage, alone with the taillight material, alone when he claimed to recover evidence from 34 Fairview. He wrote the search warrants. He transported the evidence. He secured it. He submitted it. He did it all. That's Michael Proctor. And
Yep.
he did it without any reasonable oversight.
Yep.
You'll see during the trial that he intentionally lied and fabricated evidence during the course of this investigation. He lied in reports, warrants, he lied under oath. He lied about the time that he actually secured Karen Reed's vehicle. Why? Why would he lie about that? The evidence will give you the answer. He lied because he did not want it revealed that he had access to that vehicle and he had access to that taillight.
Yep.
Before any taillight fragments were found at 34 Fairview.
Boom.
Appreciate that.
Now you have motive and opportunity.
He had access to the vehicle before a single piece of taillight material was ever found at the scene.
He's connected
You'll
and he had
find that
access.
there were two searches. The first and second search found zero. Nothing. Nothing around John's body. Nothing in the street. Not one piece of taillight fragment. But once Michael Proctor had that SUV and had the taillight in his custody and control, suddenly items started magically showing up. And not just a few items. 46 pieces of bright red taillight laying in the snow.
Oh, oopsies.
Supposedly found in
Melted.
the exact same spot that was searched not once, but twice
Twice.
by independent officers. Came up with zero. To be clear, you'll learn that before Michael Proctor had access to that taillight, not a single piece was ever recovered at 34 Fairview. That will become
That's wild.
vitally important. And what about those shards of plastic, by the way? What about this DNA that the Commonwealth mentioned? They're going to try to dazzle you with talk of DNA because it sounds so scientific. DNA was on the taillight. But you'll learn that there was no DNA on the actual shards that they claim came in contact with John's arm. None. There was no blood, no tissue, no skin, no DNA on a single shard of plastic that they claim cut deep abrasions into John's arm, the arm that you saw overhead. The DNA that was actually found, the actual science will show it was found outside of the taillight housing where anyone with access to that vehicle would have touched. And it wasn't just one male's DNA. In that exact same sample, there were 3 men found, John and 2 unidentified males. So unless the Commonwealth is going to shift their theory that SUV hit 3 men that night, their entire theory falls apart.
Yep.
And speaking of DNA, the evidence will further establish that John O'Keefe's shoe, the one that he was wearing when he was found, was sampled. And that DNA revealed 5, count them, 5 unidentified males.
5 unidentified males touched that? Oh my gosh.
Establish independently that John was injured someplace warmer and had to be moved onto that lawn. 5 unidentified males touching that shoe.
Whew.
You'll
Wow.
also learn that you are not the first person, not the first to hear about the Commonwealth's theory of this case.
So wait, so who is it? So Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Colin Albert, and then Chris Albert, and who else would it be? Chat, let me know. Who's the 5th one? Who's the 5th bad actor? Fill me in here.
The Commonwealth presented this exact same claim to their own medical examiner, a woman by the name of Dr. Irini Scorti-Bello. And you'll learn that after reviewing what's called a law enforcement accident notifier, with law enforcement's theory of the collision written in it, defined in it, after conducting the autopsy herself, after examining John's injuries in detail, she refused to conclude that John's death was a homicide based on the Commonwealth's presentation and their theory.
Yep.
That's right. The Commonwealth's own medical examiner will not deem the manner of death in this case,
Their own
this
examiner.
case, a homicide.
Uh-huh.
She won't do it.
I remember this.
But they're nonetheless back
Trial
again
1.
trying to present the exact same theory to you in this trial. The evidence will show that that is reasonable doubt.
Biggest gaslighting case in history.
Throughout this trial, the Commonwealth will try to convince you of paranormal events, phones calling themselves, messages deleting themselves, Google searches made and then unmade, evidence magically appearing and evidence magically disappearing.
Yep.
But all that smoke and all those mirrors will not ever reach their burden, because that's what this case is ultimately about. It's about the Commonwealth's burden proof.
Yeah.
You'll learn that during the trial, the Commonwealth bears the highest burden known to our justice system. They must prove every element of every charge beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. And you'll learn that moral certainty means the highest level of certainty known in human affairs. It's not a small thing. They're not going to be able to do that. Not when every piece of this case was handled by a disgraced investigator.
Yes.
With a motive to protect his friends. Not when the physical evidence contradicts their very theory.
Yep.
Not when their own medical examiner won't call this case a homicide based on the exact theory that they're presenting to you.
Yep.
Not when the conduct of those in the House and the utter lack of investigation speaks volumes about those who actually have something to hide.
Yep.
By the end of this trial, you'll conclude that Karen Reed is not guilty of hitting John O'Keefe with her SUV. There was no collision. She's the victim of a botched and biased and corrupted investigation that was never about the truth, folks. It was about preserving loyalty. You'll find that this case is the very definition of reasonable doubt. And at the end of this trial, we'll ask you to return the only verdicts, all three of them, that are consistent with the evidence, the science, the truth, and justice. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty.
Wow. Oh.
You will learn that John did not have a single injury consistent with being hit by a car. You'll learn that John's torso, his ribs, his chest, his arms, his hips, his legs, his knees, his ankles, his feet, all of them, no broken bones, no fractures, no contusions, no torn ligaments, no internal injuries, not even a bruise.
That's huge. How do you not even get a bruise from being hit by a car?
Nothing consistent with a car accident, despite the
Hank.
Commonwealth's contention that he was slammed into by a 6,000-pound SUV. Not a bruise. Dr. Lapasada will tell you with medical certainty that, in fact, John was not struck by a vehicle. Medically and scientifically, he could not have been struck by a vehicle. Therefore, as I said, there was no collision. She will tell you that the patterned abrasions on John's right arm, the patterned abrasions you see over my left shoulder, they're not the result of being struck by a car or a taillight. You'll take one look at these injuries and you'll agree with Dr. Lapasada. The evidence will show that these injuries are from an animal.
Dog.
Like a large dog. Like the large dog that was inside the Albert house that night.
Oh.
You'll
Zinger.
learn that Brian Albert has actually admitted that his large dog, the family dog, is, quote, not good with strangers. And of course, John, never having
Look at
been in the
Aiden
house
smiling.
before, was a stranger that night. You'll also learn that, oddly, after having their family pet for 7 years,
Yep. Got rid of it.
a short time after this incident, the Alberts got rid of that dog. They called it rehoming her.
Uh-huh.
She was gone.
Rehome up to heaven.
Dr. Lapasada will also tell you that the injury to John's head was not the result of falling backward onto a flat lawn, cold or otherwise. Rather, Dr. Lapasada will tell you with medical certainty that the injury pattern to his scalp was produced by an impact from a raised or ledged surface, a surface that does not exist on Brian Albert's front lawn where John was found. The medical evidence will establish no hypothermia, no injuries from a car strike, no collision with a motor vehicle.
I love he keeps repeating it.
And forensic analysis of John's cell phone, Mr. Brennan mentioned that in his opening statement. The Commonwealth's own expert will ultimately support the exact facts that I just told you, including the temperature data.
Wow. So powerful.
John O'Keefe was injured someplace warmer, and he was moved. That alone is reasonable doubt, but there's much more. You'll also learn that there were many people at that after-hours gathering at Brian Albert's house who would have left by the front door just feet from where John O'Keefe's body would have ultimately been, had he actually been there, right after 12:30 a.m.
Yeah, how do you
This is
walk
what
past the body?
Commonwealth's claim is. There were nearly a dozen people who walked out that front door directly adjacent to this the precise spot where John O'Keefe would have been lying. Not a single person, not one, not a single person, saw a 6'2", 216-pound man laying sprawled in the front lawn in dark clothing on a light white dusting of snow. Not one.
Huge.
Then the evidence will also show that every one of those same people drove by that same spot, not walked by it, drove by it to leave the house, and still not one of them saw John laying in the yard when they left between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. in the morning.
Unbelievable.
But you know who else you'll find never saw a body on that lawn?
Brian Albert?
The snowplow driver.
Oh, the snowplow driver.
A completely independent witness.
Yes.
Charged with plowing the streets in Canton that night. You'll hear that Michael Proctor, oh, he's not done yet, Mr. Proctor. You'll hear that Michael Proctor wrote a report where he claimed that Fairview had not been plowed that night. You'll learn that that was completely false. That was a lie. Michael Proctor did not want any more witnesses. He didn't want the truth, and he falsely claimed that the road was never plowed. You'll learn that he wouldn't look for the plow driver, but we did.
Yep.
And we found,
Lucky.
And we'll introduce you to Brian Loughran. He plowed Fairview that night, and what he's going to tell you is that there was no body on that lawn at 2:30 in the morning.
That's huge.
You'll learn that Brian Loughran passed by 34 Fairview, traveling right next to Brian Albert's front yard, and at 2:30 a.m., John O'Keefe was not there. But you'll see that the plow driver also provides some other troubling information, troubling testimony for the Commonwealth. You'll learn that after making that pass at 2:30 a.m., he showed up with his plow an hour later. He stopped at the entrance of Fairview. He was looking up Fairview to decide whether or not to plow it, but he saw an obstruction. At 3:30 a.m., he looked down the street, and in the very spot precisely where Karen would later find John's body laying at 6 a.m., there was a car parked in front of it, a Ford Edge. You're going to ask yourself, who's moving a car at 3:30 in the morning into a blizzard on the side of the road? You'll learn that Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, intentionally ignored this fact as well. He did no investigation to find out who owned a Ford Edge, but again, we did. And the evidence will establish that Ford Edge happens to be a favorite model of the Albert family. More than one Albert owned a Ford Edge at the time. You'll learn that those facts will add to the mounting and the overwhelming evidence that there was no collision, and John O'Keefe's body was moved onto that lawn.
As I'm listening to this, I'm telling you, Jackson is the prosecutor. Brennan just took a back seat. If I'm a juror, I'm like, I want this man to represent me.
You'll be introduced to science and physics, even from the Commonwealth's own experts. That science will establish that Karen Reed's SUV was not damaged by hitting a pedestrian, and conversely, John O'Keefe's injuries did not come from being struck by a vehicle. Folks, the science will not lie, and the physics cannot lie.
Nope.
And that science will tell you with certainty there was no collision with John O'Keefe.
Notice how many times he's repeating that theme. That's his theme. There was no collision. He did not get hit by a car. There was no collision. So the jurors he wants them to go, will you stop saying that? We get it. That's when he's finally going to go, all right.
Do you remember getting home that day?
Yeah, it was snowy, icy. And then there was a knock at the door, and it was Karen, her father, and her brother asked if they could come in. And I was just trying to calm the kids because Patrick was just out of control, yelling. And then they came in, and then he said, do you mind if we go upstairs and get a couple of her things? Which I never should have let them go up there. But at the time, I just couldn't think straight, and I really didn't have anybody else to help me keep them down in the kitchen. So I don't know what they got up there, what they did up there.
You didn't see which rooms they actually went in?
No.
How long was the defendant upstairs in John's home with her father?
I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Did you see them come back down?
No, I did not.
When they were upstairs, what were you doing?
I was trying to calm the kids.
Both of them?
But yeah, well, mainly Patrick.
How was Patrick reacting?
He was very upset once we told him because he slept over a friend's house.
Again, what's with the accusatory tone? So Karen is with her dad, probably, gathering some stuff, maybe trying to find some evidence of what could have happened to him. I mean, she doesn't know that he never stopped in at the house before his own house, before getting killed, that he was killed at 34 Fairview by the McAlberts inside the home. But she may just be like bringing her dad, like, Dad, can you help me? Like, maybe you'll see something, maybe you'll notice something that I'm not noticing could be a clue as to how he got killed. And Peggy is now just, again, the accusatory tone just doesn't make any sense. Either she is an agent of the McAlberts, or the McAlberts have manipulated her and twisted the truth so much that she believes them. And we may have already reached the point of no return where Peggy is never going to believe anything that is going to be said to the contrary. Even if this whole thing blows wide open, she may still keep claiming that Karen is the one who did it for the rest of her life, and that's fine. She's entitled to thinking whatever she wants to think, but the rest of the world is not going to agree with her if she maintains that position, in my humble opinion. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong. And by the way, don't forget to call us if you need help, 1-844-774-HURT. Trial lawyers are standing by to get you the most money in your personal injury and wrongful death claims. But in Peggy's case, my goodness, I can't even fathom her actually believing that John O'Keefe could have been killed by Karen's SUV. If that is her sincere belief, once again, either she has been manipulated to no end, or she truly believes it in her heart, or she's just lying along with a lot of them. I still can't decipher it. I can't figure it out. Maybe chat, you guys can help me out, because it's too early. This is the first time she testified. I can't even give you guys inconsistencies for this video, because there aren't any. I can't compare testimony in trial number 2 with no testimony in trial number 1. So this is all we have, unfortunately.
And he just said, I'll never see him again.
When the defendant and her father came into your home, did you personally interact with the defendant?
Nope,
Was there any hugs, condolences?
nope.
Did you ever confront the defendant with any accusations when she was in your home that morning?
I don't even remember her being in the house. When she went upstairs, that's the last I saw of her.
Did you ever lean over a kitchen island? Do you have a kitchen island in your house?
No.
Did you ever lean over the kitchen island and say, I think he looks like he got hit by a car?
Objection leading.
I don't remember talking to her that morning.
Did you see when she left?
Nope,
Did you ever see her Lexus in the driveway?
nope.
Wow. Okay. Again, I'm going to reserve judgment. I thought I would be able to come up to a conclusion after listening to the testimony, but apparently it's not enough. Need more. Need more information about Peggy. This is the first time we heard her testify. This is the first time we have any information on her. So, folks, I don't want to keep you here longer than I have to. I've said my piece. Trial of the Chicago 7, we are going to have a Ramsey Clark in this case. No question. It's a question of time now, not a question of if. And I predicted this, as I said, so it's coming way sooner than I anticipated. Way sooner than I anticipated. I thought it would still take a few weeks. This trial may never get to the end. It will collapse before it happens. We won't even get jury deliberations here. It will erupt, folks. This case is about to erupt. It is like a volcano that is just, the whole earth is shaking, and the volcano wants to erupt. It needs to erupt, but it can't because there's still something missing. And the minute that piece is found, it's over. The case will be over. It's unstoppable now. It is the inevitability of deception. When you have too many people involved, too many players involved, you think that you can get away with it if you're just doing your regular whatchamacallit in your city, in your town. But when the entire world has eyeballs and ears on this, kind of like the Johnny Depp trial, it's the same thing. Everybody knows who is telling the truth. Everybody knows who is lying. It's too easy. And so do the jurors, by the way. Some of you may be asking, well, Larry, we understand that we get it. Do the jurors get it? Well, give them time. They will.
Did you ever say that you actually heard that statement about that Google search? And you said no.
Correct.
The question that was posed to you by Mr. Lally was, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard,
Right.
correct?
I misunderstood the
And
question.
you misunderstood that question?
Yes.
What
I
did you misunderstand about that question?
I didn't know it was that you heard, so I was explaining what happened in the back of the car.
I see. So you just ignored the part, literally, the part of the question where he said, what did you hear her say?
That is crucial because what did you hear? She is a lay witness. She's not an expert witness. She cannot testify outside of her own realm of experience. We're about to get our first sneak peek into the master plan of the McAlberts led by Jennifer McCabe. Watch this.
That's what
I
your
think the word
testimony
was
is now?
heard, and I didn't hear it. I obviously got the question wrong because I did not hear anybody ask about a Google search.
Well, I know that's what you're saying now. I get that. But when you were asked, what, if anything, did she ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, your immediate answer was, at one point, she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long dash Google hypothermia, end quote. Correct?
Correct.
That was your answer,
Yes.
correct?
To a question I misunderstood.
And that was a false statement.
Doesn't
wasn't
matter. Yes.
Technically.
it?
Technically.
Technically?
Yes.
It's like being a
Technically.
little bit pregnant, Ms. Roberts.
Okay, so remember, jurors, I said earlier, comments of counsel are not evidence and you're to disregard them. Ask a question.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you mean technically?
Technically, I was under oath, and I did not hear.
What does that mean?
Jen.
Wait, whoa. Time out. Technically, I was under oath. Like Jackson said, it's like being pregnant. You can't be technically half pregnant. You were under oath or you were not under oath. The answer is yes, you were under oath. That means you have to tell the truth. And doesn't matter that you misunderstood the question. Ask the lawyer, Lally. He's on your side. You could have asked him, hey, can you clarify this? Can you please re-ask the question? I don't understand the question. You lied and you know it. And watch what she does.
Karen asked Jen to Google it,
And yet under oath,
but I knew it happened at that
and
time.
yet under oath you said
How did you know?
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
Objection.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally.
Oh!
And,
Not intentionally.
okay, that's the end of
Understood
this.
the question, Mr. Jackson.
All right, is there any other question, or is that it?
I said I misunderstood the question, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, look at her anger. Oh, you can tell she's like, I am caught and I have no way out. I misunderstood the question, Mr. Jackson. You can see her channeling Jennifer McCabe, like, Jennifer, I really need you here. You need to hold my hand, at least like in theory. I will never betray you, my good friend, Jennifer. Oh, God, look at that furious anger that she is just, I mean, she is ready to kill. That's a look that can kill right there. Oh, my God, pun intended.
That's what happened.
All right,
Can I ask one more question?
okay.
In that quote, you said at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long. Then you corrected yourself and finished with Google hypothermia. What did you mean by how long? What were you about to say?
I don't recall.
Had someone told you something about a phrase that started with how long?
How long
I
to
don't
die in the
recall.
cold?
I don't recall.
Like, for instance, how long to die in cold?
I don't recall.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. McCabe, I'm sorry, Ms. Roberts.
What? What? She just called her Miss McCabe. And I do have one more clip for you guys. This was so big, folks. TMZ picked it up.
And the actual words used. You were as detailed about all of that as the actual words used.
Just for the record, this is the original cross-examination, and this is the final piece.
She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, and then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
Correct.
You will agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah.
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that. In
So
the
the answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm
By Jennifer.
not a trick question. What you told the grand jurors was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet, that's what you testified to under oath, under penalty of perjury, in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
And the reason you did that, the reason that you said that false statement, was because someone told you to say it, correct?
Object.
Correct.
Is that, I'm going to let her answer that.
Nobody told me to say it.
Yes, they did.
I knew it happened at that time.
How did you know?
Which is why I said it.
How could you know?
How did you know it happened, Ms. Roberts, if no one told you it happened?
Because
Yes.
we wrote a timeline. We already spoke about that.
Oh, so you wrote a timeline together with Jenn. So she's the one who told you. Thank you very much for your answer, Ms. Roberts.
The line that Jennifer McCabe helped you with, that influenced your testimony in front of the grand jury, correct?
Yes.
Obviously.
I was telling what happened in the back of the cruiser.
The timeline
can answer.
you wrote,
So when you ask a question, let her answer, okay?
the timeline you wrote, with Jennifer McCabe's help, influenced your testimony to testify in front of the grand jurors to a statement that you never heard, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. That's it. She admitted it. I lied, and Jennifer McCabe influenced my testimony. It's locked in, folks. It's locked in. And when Jennifer McCabe takes the witness stand, fireworks are going to fly, folks. It's going to be fireworks.
We're going to end this now.
Ah! Oh! Son of a gun! Wait, is Bev rescuing her? Are you kidding me?
I can't end it like this.
No.
Okay, jurors, ignore the comments of counsel. Ask one question, Mr. Jackson.
You said that she said, could I have hit him?
Look at her face. She feels so defeated. She's like, the judge is rescuing me. Nope. Jackson's like, I am not letting go, Your Honor. I have one. Yes, I need to keep going. I cannot let it go like this. This is abhorrent. This is abhorrent, Auntie Bev. I am angry for Jackson, for you to behave like this. Who does that? He is getting to the heart of the issue because Jennifer McCabe is a lying sack of crap who is helping cover up the murder of John O'Keefe, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. And Auntie Bev is like, no, enough questions. We're done with this witness. And Jackson's like, no, we are not done with this witness. Let me watch this again, because I am livid right now.
Say she said.
I don't know if I was asked specifically what she said to a female EMT.
All right, we're going to end this now.
Your Honor, may I have one more question?
Go ahead.
I can't end it like this. You said,
Okay,
she
jurors,
said.
ignore the comments of counsel. Ask one question, Mr. Jackson.
You said that she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him in the presence of the female EMT? That's what you testified to under oath at the grand jury, isn't it?
Yes, because she also said
Yes,
that.
yes. That's it. That's all we need to know. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry, you guys. It's like I was there with Jackson in the courtroom. I felt it. I was there with him. Jennifer McCabe is falling apart before our very eyes, folks. And there's a lot more where that came from. We are not done with this monster of a woman. I can't call her a woman. She is a monster. She is a mastermind behind the cover-up of John O'Keefe's murder. Well, folks, I hope you all enjoyed this. For more moments like this and others, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, comment below for things that you want to see and cross-examinations you want me to do in future and current trials. And we have hundreds, if not thousands, of these kinds of moments scattered across our videos on our channel. So don't forget to watch them carefully. And as always, buckle up. Bye, everybody.